I'm extremely happy to be with you this morning, and I'm grateful to all those who made this meeting possible. This topic that I have chosen is about personal mastery through mind mastery. What is the greatest gift we have? Our own minds. And let us spend a moment watching your own mind. I know there is a stage, there is a slide. I want you to shift your attention from whatever is there outside to what is happening inside your mind. If you wish, you can even close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, there is a lot of silence outside. I want you to see what is happening in your mind. You will see there will be thoughts. One thought after another thought. Sometimes there are no thoughts. More importantly, can you become aware of those gaps between thoughts? And the longer there is a gap where there are no thoughts, you will observe there is someone who knows there is a thought now. I'm listening to this doctor on the stage. Now there is silence. Maybe a thought comes in your mind. Again, there is a blank. Come in touch with who is the one who is watching your body. You are aware you are sitting on this chair. You are aware of all the thoughts going on in your mind. I am speaking to that observer. You may gently open your eyes. Now, personal mastery through mind mastery means there is someone inside all of us who is watching my mind. Now, if I identify with the mind, when the mind becomes sad, I get angry. Now, before you become managers of large corporations and large organizations, we have to be managers of the great instrument, our own mind. And for that, the whole technique you're going to learn today is to go one step behind the mind. Do you experience this silence? Sometimes when there is external silence, there is internal silence also. Or there may be a thought. But I want you to observe your mind. From your mind, we'll proceed to the brain. See, this is the kind of work that I do. And before we come to the main topic of mind management, personal management through mind management, I will take you through my hospital. I will take you to the kind of work we do. And then slowly you will see what is it relevant to this whole context. This is a famous heart hospital called Narayana Hridayalaya. And within this hospital, about 20 years ago, we have started neurosciences, particularly neurosurgery. And if you see in this picture, I'm sorry. All right. I was just looking for a pointer. All right. Now, you will see, if you can make out, there is a skull fracture and a large clot on that side, away from me. And you can see the brain has been squeezed by that clot. Now, this is what happens sometimes in a head injury, in a low velocity injury. That is why helmets protect us from low velocity. When it is a high velocity injury, then nothing really protects. To some extent, the helmet can protect, but definitely skull fractures do not happen in any low velocity injury when there is a helmet. You will see a skull fracture. The brain is not damaged, but then there is a large clot under that fracture. Now, because of the clot within the brain, now you will see the paradox. The skull is meant to protect the brain. Now you will see the skull can be the cause of damage to the brain. Why? Anywhere else in the body, if you have a clot, it is not so serious. But because the skull is a closed space, and if a clot becomes bigger and bigger, it will squeeze the very delicate brain, and a person who was conscious at the time of injury now becomes unconscious. I use this also to say, whatever is our greatest strength can also be our greatest liability also. And for all of us, what is our greatest gift? Our mind is our greatest gift. But if you are going through anxiety, if you're going through depression, if you're feeling low, if you're feeling upset, it is again the product of your mind. Now, my training for you is, see, every learning experience will take some time, and there is something which we call an acquired taste. Now, if you have not tasted something, now I will take a bad example. For example, alcohol. If a person has never tasted alcohol and you give him alcohol for the first time, the person has he will wonder, why is this such a terrible thing? But then once you acquire the taste, then you know what happens afterwards. So too, there are some things which you have to develop a taste for. Can you feel that silence? Sometimes, doing nothing, you will experience the greatest amount of joy simply doing nothing. Normally, we think to be happy, we have to do something. Can you give me one example where you are so blissful doing nothing? I can't hear you. When you are fast asleep. When you are fast asleep, there is no people you interact with, there is no food, there is no entertainment, there is nothing happening. There is no situation, there is no person, there is no object, and yet you feel so happy. And therefore, I would like you to experience wherever you are, like this, even in the middle of, have you seen a whirlpool? And when you see a whirlpool, there is so much of intense activity all around. But if you see the center of the whirlpool is absolutely still. Why go to a whirlpool? See any wheel that is moving. A wheel in the periphery, there is a lot of movement. As you come closer and closer to the center, you will come to a point, and that is the point where you, as students of management, because when you become managers, you will have multiple people and situations to deal with. And you are the focal point. You should be in a point where you are not wobbling, where you are not disturbed. And if you can identify and be centered in that way, and that's what you have to learn to pick up in this today's session. See, more than my ability to give you is your ability to take. Can a skill be taught? Can a great cricketer like Sachin Tendulkar, who's got one of the greatest skills as a batsman, can he teach that skill to his own son or somebody whom he wants? And yet, a good coach can transmit, isn't it? That means more than the teacher's ability to give is the student's ability to take. And so I want you to be in that situation to see what you can learn from each of these slides. In this example, at least you have learned that whatever is your greatest strength can be your greatest liability. Now, this is a life-saving situation for us. And what do? We do a scan. And the moment we do a scan, we know there is a clot within the head. And if you do an operation, we can save the life of a person. We have to do it very quickly. Sometimes we don't even have to wait for the families to come. If he has some mobile number, we inform the family, shift the person even before families come. I'll just show you a line diagram, and I hope all of you are strong enough to see these pictures. Yes? Louder?
Yes, sir.
You don't mind seeing some real videos of what we see in the hospital? See, you have to be mentally strong. Come on. Now, this is only a line diagram. And here in this line diagram, you will see if you have to open the skull, you have to open the scalp. That means you cut open the skin. You can see those drill holes, and using a high-powered drill, we connect from one hole to the other, and at the bottom you can see the skull has been opened up like a window. And the moment the window is open, the emergency is over, a life has been saved. And then we put back the skull, and like any fracture, the skull will also heal. We put some clips on the skin and the wound heals. This boy came to us from Bangladesh. We get a lot of patients from neighboring countries and from Africa. Now, a good part of his brain has come into the nose because there is a large gap between the two eyes, and one eye is looking this way and one eye is looking that way. So we are taking him for a corrective surgery to make him look like a normal child, and also that gap between the brain and the nose has to be cleared. Now, I have done many surgeries, but these are difficult moments when we take the child away from the mother, and we have to tell them this is a long surgery, it's a high-risk surgery, and this is the kind of trust that people have, and this is the kind of work that we do. I will show you one difficult patient we had. This child came to us from Bihar. It is a conjoined twin. That means two bodies were fused into one. But if you will see, there are, two legs on this side, two legs on that side. The child had 8 limbs. And our job was to see how we can make her like a normal child. Now, this is how the scan looked. And if you go into more details, you will see the spinal cord of the girl and the twin was united at one point. And my job as a neurosurgeon was to make a safe separation between the spinal cord. So the orthopedic surgeons have to take away the extra limbs. The pediatric surgeons, every organ is duplicated. 2 digestive systems, 4 kidneys, and then 2 reproductive systems. So the pediatric surgeons had a lot of work to do to see which belongs to this child and which belongs to the twin that has to be separated. The anesthetists have to maintain the blood pressure when half the body is being separated. The risk is the blood pressure can drop and the heart can stop anytime during surgery. The plastic surgeons want to make her look like a normal girl. So this was a team effort. We started in the morning around 7 o'clock. We finished around 3 a.m. the next day. And after she recovered from the ICU, this is the same girl sitting on the father's lap. One more picture, and this is going to be a little difficult, and this happened near Kuppam. The accident happened near Kuppam, where a boy had an injury. A rod entered near the bridge of his nose and it came out at the back. And so it was a bus and a lorry accident. They cut the rod on either side and they brought the boy to us. He was an engineering student. He was talking, he was moving all his limbs, and he came to us like this. And I will just show you the scan. So today we have what is called virtual surgery. That means the advantage of technology is that even before we do the surgery, we can do what is called virtual surgery. On the computer, I can open up the skull like this, see exactly where the rod has gone, because it has not damaged the brain. It has somehow gone in between the nerves and blood vessels. And my job would be to remove the rod in such a way so that we don't cause any further damage. Now, removing the rod was not a big problem, but our brain is floating in a pool of water. And the moment the rod is removed, brain fluid started leaking. And we had to do multiple surgeries. And whenever air, because water comes out, air goes inside, and the air is full of bacteria. And the brain is very sensitive to bacteria. He developed brain infection. So he came to us in this condition. This is the size of the rod that was removed in relation to the human hand. 4 surgeries, and after 4 months, this is what is happening? This is the same boy who's made a full and complete recovery. I have shown you 2 difficult surgeries and the good outcome that has come. And there is one reason why I have showed you all this. See, only when you have a toothache, you will remember you have teeth. Only when you have a headache, you remember you have a head. Only when some part of our body is afflicted, you realize, that there is that organ in your body. When Steve Jobs was told he had a pancreatic cancer, he said, I didn't even know I had a pancreas. All of you are young, and hopefully all of you are in excellent health. And when you are in good health, it's like a new car moving so quietly, you don't realize there are so many organs in your body. As we get older, we'll realize how many organs are there in your body. Now, why I put all this is, one message I want you to think in your own mind. What is that message that clearly comes to you? And that message I want you to get is how lucky we are compared to all those who come to hospital with serious diseases, with accidents, with cancers, from all ages. From young people to old can have cancers, accidents, can have serious life-threatening situations. So in our hospital, we deal with this situation all the time. And for those of us who are healthy and who take our life for granted, one important message is how lucky we are. Normally, when we wake up in the morning, the first thing we think of, oh my God, I've got so much thing to do, what a difficult day it is today. But I want you to train yourself to say, how lucky I am, I have another day with good physical and mental health. And therefore, let me use all these faculties to see how I can make the most of my life. Isn't it? A new resolution from today. One reason. Can you be grateful and can you be miserable at the same time? No. And when you look into our lives at all ages, everyone has their own battles in their life, both personal and as a student you have issues to deal with. Now, if you want something very empowering, just bring in this what is called the attitude of gratitude. Begin the day by saying how lucky I am, how blessed I am, and therefore I am here in a wonderful university where I can get all the skills that I can so that I can make the most of my rest of my life. With this intention, is there a mic with anybody outside? If one of you can do some reading for me. Is there an extra mic? And somebody who would volunteer to read some of my slides. Just put up your hand who would like to do that job for me. Yeah, there's a girl right in front, if you can give that mic to her. Can you read from there only for now? Okay, the mic has come.
The mind is the most powerful instrument that we have to accomplish all the goals. We must learn methods to master our mind. It should be our instrument, not our master. It should be available for us when we need. Good listening.
All of us are listening. I want you to ask one question. Are you listening to the speaker, or are you listening to the thoughts that are going on in your mind? You know, this is the problem with the mind. The mind, like for instance, this mic should be an instrument for me to reach out to you. Supposing this mic decides that let me do my own audio, and sometimes the mic makes one screeching sound, and then what will we do? We will stop it and try to get another mic, isn't it? Now, the mind should be an instrument like that. If my mind is constantly thinking about something and you are listening to what is happening in your mind, then I'm still not a good listener. So whenever you are in your classes, always alert yourself. Am I listening to, am I in real time? Am I in psychological time? Psychological time means have I drifted away into my world of thoughts, or am I here? Can you feel the chair you're seated? Can you feel the ground beneath your feet? Can you take one deep breath and breathe out? See, when you come in touch with your bodily sensations, you have moved from your mind to your body. So use some of these techniques. So sometimes you get into a thought attack, especially if something unpleasant has happened. Those thoughts keep coming again and again, and you are not able to pay attention to whatever is happening. So, for example, good listening. Let us try to see that there are no other thoughts will interfere with my listening. Have you seen sometimes a person taking a big dog for a walk? And if the dog is a little unruly, you will see who's taking whom for a walk. Whenever my mind is agitated, upset, depressed, what happens? Our mind is taking us for a ride. So the question is, who is the boss? This is the brain, but I can't show you the mind because the mind only you know, my mind only I know. Mind is so subtle you can't show. But I've shown you a picture of the brain, and this is only a model. So now I want you to see, do I have control on my mind? Do I have a certain amount of mastery of your mind? Because the more you have mastery of your mind, this supercomputer is available for you when you want it and for how long you want it. Otherwise, the greatest time wastage that you have is when your mind keeps on drifting into something else rather than being in real time. Now, before we go into therapy, I'm a doctor, so we'll go in for a diagnosis. So I want you to sit with your mind and answer these questions. You don't have to answer them aloud, answer them to yourself. And then in the course of this talk, as I said, a skill has to be caught, not. So I don't want you to write, I just want you to listen, because even when you write, you will lose some attention in the process. Now, these are questions that I want you to ask yourself and see how you can find answers in this talk. Can persons or situations make you very angry or upset? Which means, is there a difficult person in your life? Now, for many, many people, there is a person who is important, who's part of your life, and whose presence makes us a little uncomfortable, because this person may be a little domineering person, but this person is difficult people. There are certain situations, there are certain people which cause my mind to be a little agitated and a little upset. And in this course of this, I'm going to discover how I will be able to find answers. Do you tend to repeat the same mistake again and again? I will answer it for you. We don't do many mistakes. We do few mistakes. But that mistake or those few mistakes we tend to repeat. It is like a bug in the software of our life. And therefore, I want you to identify what are those things I know it is wrong, it is not good for me, but something forces me to do that. And is there a way out of it? Do you procrastinate? Procrastinate means postponing it for another day. Oh, I'm in no mood today. So therefore, do you have this fine feeling of, I just can't get started. I know I have to do it, but I have a tendency to procrastinate. This is something, life is so unfair. Everybody else is so lucky. Now, that is why this is a very common feeling. When you look, everybody else looks better. But then, we do not know their real state. And therefore, count your own blessings. One method is to be able to say how blessed I am. See, whenever you enter a hospital, you see small children with masks, no hair. Why? They are on chemotherapy. They are on cancer therapy. And you will see small children and their families. Now, when you see young people on dialysis because of kidney failure, now when you see all this, I want you to say, compared to so many things, I know I have issues to deal, but I'm so lucky. Does past trauma still affect you? See, most of you have come through that phase when you maybe are still vulnerable. I know until you become financially independent and on your own, you're still dependent on your parents and others to support you. And until such time, you have a certain psychological, to some extent physical vulnerability. You have to depend on people. And sometimes when people use some words which may be harsh, maybe somebody close to you, it could be your parents or close relatives, would have said something, and the child in you takes it very seriously. So there is a psychological wound. And sometimes it could be physical wounds, sometimes it could be deeper wounds. So one thing is very common, And I didn't realize myself, if you go through a process of regression going into a child, all of us will discover there is that wounded child in many of us. And that wounded child affects your psyche, affects your behavior, makes you a little bit of an introvert, makes you feel not so confident in going out, taking risks, asking for help because of the past trauma. Now, while you are not responsible for what happened in your life when you are vulnerable, today you are on your own 2 feet to a large extent. And I want you to take that decision that I'm going to change the course of my life. I'm going to be able to forgive. I may not be able to forget, but I will certainly forgive those who have caused those wounds and take it as a learning experience and see how I can be a stronger person. I want you to remember this. Somebody has said very nicely, when you win, you win. When you lose, you learn, and therefore you win. Now, if I have gone through a setback, a humiliation, an insult in front of a lot of people, and the child in me felt terrible, but now, can you see what is that I have learned? Through humiliation, through difficulty, what has been sort of assaulted is the pseudo-image, the ego in me. All of us, even young children, have a very strong ego. You may not express it, but I will give you indicators of the ego. It is my ego that is hurt. And as you grow bigger, go beyond the mind, you will have to learn to forgive. And when you learn to forgive, you heal yourself. Are you able to forgive? Do you feel sad for no reason? Again, I'll give you the answer. 20% of this audience, at some stage of our life, will go through a period of depression. Depression means, for some reason, everything is going good in life, but I just don't feel, there's no drive in me to do anything. And it could come again in cycles. So there are episodes when you feel sad and feel low for no reason at all. Now, this is the problem with my mind. Now, if you identify with the mind, you will say, I am depressed. But if you don't identify with the mind, you'll say, I have a problem computer, or I have a problem car, or a problem bike, but I'm okay. Can you see that? My mind is going through a little bit of an upset, but give me some time, I'll be okay. Because I don't identify with that depression or anxiety in my mind. See that? Do you feel insecure about the future? What is the meaning of this word fear? I'll come to it a little later. Life is so boring. Sometimes you feel stuck in a rut. If you always do what you always did, you will always get what you always got. Sometimes it could be just the way you think about yourself. From today, I want you to change the way. The situation will be the same, your body is the same, your family is the same, your institution is the same. But the way you look at yourself is different, and the whole world can be different. Now, this requires a lot of courage to say, I am the problem, I am the solution. Normally, we blame your parents, your brothers, your teachers, everybody else except yourself. But from today, if you see there's a problem in your life, first, I know there is problems in multiple domains. There are issues, but the solution is not out there. You cannot. So if there is some solution, it is working on, and this is very important, never blame anyone or for any situation for the mess I am in right now. I am responsible. It takes a lot of mental strength to be able to say that, because when you take responsibility for yourself, you have a solution. Because if you keep blaming others, there is no solution. Now, why I'm saying all this is, let us be mentally strong to be mentally tough. In an ancient Indian language, it is called Titiksha. This is a Nobel Prize winning book. You can Google Hermann Hesse. He won the Nobel Prize, and one of his most famous books is the book called Siddhartha. And because I think the copyright period is over, you can download the whole book on your computer and read about this character Siddhartha. 2 abilities he had, which I think is perfectly important for titiksha or mental toughness. One is, I can wait. Especially when somebody insults you and makes you wait. Wait. I'm not going to be insulted. I'm insult proof. I can wait. See, a lot of people, when they want to humiliate you, they make you wait. But you will see, I'm not going to be affected. My job is important. I will wait for how long? Eternity. When you are in waiting, don't look at your clock. For me, this job is important. I'm ready to wait. Second is, one important training is I can go without one meal. This is what is called intermittent fasting. Train yourself with intermittent fasting. One meal you learn to skip. Then your body goes through intense hunger, but after some time you're okay. And the next meal you enjoy much more. If you learn how to fast, there are moments, I will tell you, when you're very hungry and the food is delayed. And that's when your fuse really tips off. And the real test of your mental stability is, I can fast, I can wait. Do you remember, there was a movie, I don't know how many of you have seen that movie called 13 Lives. Just like we had these 41 people stuck in that tunnel near Yamunotri, and they came out just now. There were 12 schoolboys and one coach who entered into a cave near Thailand somewhere. And then because of a flood, the entrance got flooded. And these boys receded, more water came in. And finally, they were about 10 kilometers away. And people knew that there were so many, because their bikes were all outside. You remember that? Or you can just Google 13 Lives, because there's a nice movie made out of them. And there were 2 British divers who were experts at going underwater diving for about 10 kilometers. They swam in the darkness. A person with a camera, my photographer, can you come on the stage? And I just want you to see how many people are going to pass my test. All right? Keep your hands in front of you, above your head, about 1 or 2 feet apart. Okay? The instruction is very simple. Be with me, listen to me. A loud clap at the count of 5, and I'm going very quickly. Be ready. A loud clap at the count of 5. 1, 2, 3. Please sit down. Okay, you answer my test. Answer my question. Are you more likely to follow instructions, or are you more likely to follow actions? Please sit down. You got it? So, if there is personal mastery, when you become a boss, this is what Stephen Covey says. Private victory precedes public victory. If you keep the lights on, I'd like to see all of you. Now, if you have to be the boss of a lot of people, you have to first be a master of yourself, isn't it? And then your communication becomes more powerful. You mean what you say. Now, I'll come to this problem of, do you procrastinate? Because, see, I don't have solutions, but I have a way, a method. It has worked for me. And this solution has come from one of the greatest minds, Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu was one of the greatest Chinese ever. He is famous for this quotation: a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And whenever you have an important event that you want to do, but for some reason you're not able to do, and you have a starting trouble, and you have this problem of procrastination, this is a tip. Keep the lights on, please. And it's like this. I'll say, and then I want you to repeat. Begin, and the work will be done. Repeat. Begin, and the work will be done. Begin, and the work will be done. So you need, sometimes like when a rocket has to leave the gravity of the earth, it has to fight against something. There is something called, what is that, which helps it to leave the earth? escape velocity, is it? So it needs a certain amount of propulsive power, and that power comes from a strong mind. So when you know that I have big projects and that I have to be the master of myself, then you're able to command your mind and say, begin, and the work will be done. Now this is a story, just listen to the story. It's a story of a father and a son. There was a father playing with his little boy, and just at that moment, they were intense into a game, small boy, and the father gets a phone call and he says, can you quickly resend that message? It is critical for me. I'm not able to trace it. It happens for me quite often. You will be in the middle of something and I get a call from some patient I won't even know. They say, we are about to board an international flight, but they are not allowing us to board because they don't have a fit to fly certificate. And you know how critical it is for them, because they have bought an international ticket, they have struggled and come. Now, somehow I have to reach to my hospital, get all their details, get a certificate. Now, even on a WhatsApp medical certificate, they will accept. The airline doesn't want to be responsible. They want some doctor to say he is fit to fly. So, I may be in the middle of something, but sometimes something like this critical comes where you have to intervene. So the father got a call. He had to leave the game. But this little child is not leaving the father. For him, the game is more important than anything in the world. Now, somehow he had to get out of this. To make both things possible, the father gives the child a map of the world, tears it into 4 pieces, tells the little boy, this is a jigsaw game for you, and I promise you the moment you put the world in place, I'll play with you. So the boy was working on the jigsaw of the world map. The father was goes back to his laptop. In no time, the boy was able to put the whole world in place. And the father said, Sonny, how did you do it? And the boy says, Papa, behind the picture of the world map you gave me was a picture of a man. I put the man together because I knew one thing for sure. If the man is okay, the world is okay. I want you to focus on this. If I am okay, my world is okay. Because I have some power with myself. I have no power with anybody else. So look at this. If I were in this world, fortunately for all of you, your body is okay. It is your mind and your thoughts and emotions, and that is why this talk is so important. If you will be able to see how you can be the master of your mind. Remember this, if I am okay, my world is okay. This is another useful thing to see. Can you take the mic and read this for me? I just want you to register these things.
You are your thoughts. What your thoughts, they become words. What your words, they become actions. What your action, they become habits. What your habits, they become character. What your character, for it becomes your destiny.
All right, I have a question for you. Let me see how much you remember. Watch your thoughts, they become your? Very good. Watch your words, they become your? Watch your actions, it becomes your? Watch your habits, it becomes your? Watch your character, it leads to? Change your thoughts. Change your thoughts. Change your destiny. Can we get it into action, please? All right. Thank you. Fine. Is the range a little too much? So that is the power of this meeting. If you can change the way you look at yourself, instead of calling yourself so unlucky, I want you to say, I'm so lucky, I'm so blessed. I am in the right place at the right time. I'm in the, and you have to make that right. Do you feel insecure about the future? Now, fear. Fear is an acronym. F stands for fantasized experiences appearing real. Most of our fears are only psychological. Now, supposing you have the fear of public speaking, and all of you, future leaders, and part of leadership is being able to communicate to a large number of people. And if that is a fear, what is the only way to address that fear? Whatever is your roadblock, address it. Practice going on the stage. So, most of these are in your mind. They are only fantasies. And when you address them, initially you will have difficulties, and later on you will be able to overcome them. Do you tend to repeat the same mistake again and again? I've already told you about that. Is there a solution? I'm not addressing that. We'll see it later. Now, more important, you are very young and your whole life happens in future. Can you dream and make your dreams come true? Every creation happens twice. Sitting here now, today, you make your whole world, you make your whole life in your mind. I was speaking to Joy Shankar about how this whole university, how beautifully it has come up. Before it came up, it was there in the mind, isn't it? Someone had a vision of how this whole place has to be. And therefore, every creation happens twice. First in our mind and then in reality. This book by Wayne Dyer, a very powerful book. Again, you can get the essence of this book online, where he says there is something called the power of intention. And you make your dreams. And what is greater than to live a life of freedom, to live a life you love? There is a nice word called kalpa vriksha. Kalpa vriksha means wish-fulfilling tree. In the Indian mythology, in the heavens there's supposed to be a tree. And whatever you wish under that tree will come true. And what is that kalpa vriksha? Your own mind. We all have that. We have to learn to be able to program and say, whatever I want in my life will come true. In fact, it may be better than what you had wished for. Our former president, APJ Abdul Kalam, had said something wonderful about dreams. He says a dream is not something that you see while sleeping. It is something that does not let you sleep. And there is a formula called the PPP-MFT formula. This is something important to remember. If you have to make your dreams come true, remember the PPP-MFT formula. The first P is personal. It should be your goal. You're not trying to live to fulfill somebody else's dreams. Because if it's your goal, the drive becomes much stronger. Second P is positive. You can use the same psychological techniques for negative purposes also. The third P is possible. Have dreams, but must be humanly possible. So it is personal, it should be positive, it should be possible. Second is M. The fourth is M. M is measurable. It should not be something abstract, it should be real. You should be able to say, this is what I want to, I can measure it. F means, whenever you start a big project, there will always be obstacles. And the greater is the project, greater is the obstacles. And therefore, F means anticipate obstacles and have a flexibility like a river. Now, the river wants to reach the goal. And if you are on a flight, you will see how the river meanders through every obstacle before it reaches your goal. F stands for flexibility. And in goal setting, there is something called T. And what is T? Time bound. A goal, you have to set a certain time for that. Can you read this for me? Because when somebody reads this, then you will reflect on this a little more.
What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us.
I addressed you to, you know your body, you can see your mind. Then I want you to go a little further. There is somebody who's observing the mind. And the more you come to that level of understanding yourself, that is what we're talking about. There is something something extraordinary within all of us. Now, never compare. Please read.
I am what I am. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter. Tell yourself, no one is superior to me, no one is inferior to me, I am what I am.
For emphasis, be sporting and repeat after me. No one is superior to me. No one is inferior to me. I am what I am. All of us are made differently. And just because some people have been appreciated, honored, it doesn't mean in comparison I'm small. And therefore you have to see yourself as unique. Each one here has a right to be here. Remember, you are in the right place at the right time. And what is the right purpose that we have to discover? It will unfold as you go along. All right, now I come to the important topic of, does past trauma still affect you? Are you able to forgive? As I said, it is very difficult to forgive, very difficult to forget. But between the two, which is more important? Is it very important to forgive or important to forget? Very good, because you will never forget. But once you forgive, that wound in you has gone. You will still see that incident in your life, but that person now does not become a problem for you. I will tell you a story. This is a story of Akbar and Birbal. What is the meaning of the word Akbar? When you say Allahu Akbar, the word Akbar means great. All right. So Akbar had this title that he is great, and it was in his psyche that I am great. And one idea occurred to him, and he asked Birbal, in private of course, is there some way I can be greater than God? And you know how Birbal will answer? He certainly, yes, my lord. There is some way in which you can be greater than God. Then so Birbal asks him, can you banish anybody from your kingdom? He says, certainly, yes, I have all the powers to banish anybody from my kingdom. Then he says, can God banish anybody from his kingdom? Now the question to each one of you, right? You're ready for it? Can you banish from your mind someone who has hurt you, insulted you, wounded you, who is a problem person in your life? You know why I'm asking you this? Those who have helped you, those who have cared for you, those who have loved you, we forget. But those who have harmed you, those who have insulted you, those who have humiliated you, who have suppressed you, we never forget. They are in our minds more than people whom we love. And then what happens, because these people are in your mind more often, the big danger is you tend to become more like the people who you hate than the people you love. And this is the real danger. See, police who are working with criminals know the criminality type of mind, and if you have to be one step ahead, you will have to see how the criminal mind works. The danger is, and you see in all kinds of movies, you have bad policemen also, because now they know or they have a criminal mind. I mean, they may not use it, but that criminal tendency is there in the mind. When those people whom you dislike, we tend to become more unless we learn to forgive them. When you forgive them, gradually they fade out from your mind. Because, as I said, when you win, you win. When you lose, you learn. Because of these difficult people, those who have insulted you, who have hurt you, certainly you have become a stronger person. You become a wiser person. Those wounds, Helen Keller has said, can you convert your scars into stars? Can that be something that, because of that, I have been able to handle a lot of difficulties in my life. So you will come to a stage when you say, I can't forget, but I can forgive. This is one of my concluding slides. Who's this? He is a great mystic saint from Tiruvannamalai. At one time, about 50, 60 years ago, there were more foreigners coming to India to see this man. Mahatma Gandhi also wanted to see this person. He was in a small place called Tiruvannamalai, and if you see what is called enlightened, he was an enlightened person. And somebody asked him this question, how to treat others. I'll work on this. Can you just play this video for me? There must be a click on it. Can you play that video? think I have not loaded it. All right. No, it is not there. All right. No, it is there in my. Okay, I'll. It is there on the network. You have your. Oh, good. Very. Volume, please increase. All right. Now I want you to listen what you learned from this story. Here is the older brother. Mistake was his. He put his hand inside his brother's. And once that little fellow got that grip, that small child doesn't know because there's no pain for him. He bit him hard. This fellow stuck inside. And he's crying in pain. He's an older brother. The younger fellow is on his lap. You could have given him one punch, no? Why he didn't do that? My brother, my little brother. See, when you identify somebody as yourself, he may be hurting you, but then you don't see that I have to hurt you back. Now, sometimes it happens, your own teeth bites your own tongue. Will you get so angry with your teeth for having bitten your tongue and say, my God, you hurt me so much, I'll take you to a dentist and put a high-speed drill on you. You will know what it hurts. You won't do that. Why? The teeth is you, the tongue is also you. When Bhagwan Ramana was asked how to treat others, he said there are no others. And this is the vision that I want you to see when you become leaders of large organizations, corporations, and in your own family, and especially people with whom you tend to have differences. See, even in a love relationship, if you're keeping a score, you hurt me that, you did that. If you're keeping a score, that means there is that, in Sanskrit you'll say Beda Bhava. You're seeing me as different. In true love, it's called love as identification. You don't see the person as other than you. And if you are able to be evolved, then why is it so important? See, when a patient comes to me and when he have to decide whether surgery is required or not. When they come to me, they pay a small amount for a consultation fee. But if I operate, they pay in lakhs. Now, it is always a big incentive to advise surgery. But what I need to do is, if this person was my family member or is it my own self, would he require a surgery? Would he require hospitalization? And if the answer for me is no, the answer is for him also no. So if you have that kind of vision, then people will respect you. You become an asset to others. Shall we proceed to the next slide, please? All right. This is my concluding slide. This is my last slide. And this is a gift, not an ordinary gift. I will call it the greatest gift a teacher can give to a student. 2 words. I want you to take these 2 words. 1 word I have already explained to you. And that word is a word of thanks. I'm so lucky. Learn to count your blessings. I have a healthy body. I have a healthy mind. My family has supported my education. I'm in a good institution. I'm in the crucial phase of my life where I have all the opportunities in the world. Then there is one more word. And that word is, remember, for all that has happened until now, especially the difficult moments, your answer is going to be thank you. And for what is going to happen in future, I'm going to give you one Maha Mantra. Can I have that mic? Now I'm going to give you a Maha Mantra. Now, the way that mantra is chanted is very special. Are you ready to chant it? Recently, I've been to one of the most holy places in the world. Unfortunately, it's a very tormented place now, Jerusalem. Jerusalem is a very holy place for the Christians because Jesus was crucified there. A lot of his ministry was in Jerusalem. Jerusalem is very holy for the Muslims because there is a famous mosque there called the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is the third after Mecca, Medina. That is a famous place. And also for the Jews. It is the holiest place for the Jews. Now I'll give you one Maha Mantra. Can you all stand up, please? Now you have to chant it in a very special way. Ready? Are you ready for it? Yes. More than the mantra, the way it is to be chanted is special. Now, all of them are very young. It doesn't matter. I'm certainly older than anybody here. Now, but I want you to be sensitive to your body and do it be according to your body. All right? Now put your hands up. I have only one hand to put up. You have to jump as high as possible. All right? Look around your place so that you don't hurt yourself. See that there's enough space. Some of you can come in front. Anybody wants to come on the stage with me? Anybody wants to join me on the stage? Some of you can come on the stage, please. Come. Few of you come. Come. Quickly. All right. Put your hands up. I'm going to give you that Maha Mantra. Come. Some of you come. You're going to do along with me. You are the role models now. Come. To see how it has to be done. Put your hands up. Jump as high as you can. And shout that Maha Mantra from your heart. And that Maha Mantra is yes. 10 times yes. Put your hands up. Come on. Yes! 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 Come on! Yes! Higher! Higher! Yes! 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 Come on! Higher! Yes! Thank you.
If anyone has any questions, we'll be passing the mic. You can ask.
Good morning, sir. My name is Thimappa. Sir, whenever we are mastering some skill or anything in our life, we all go through rejection, anxiety as well as trauma. How to deal with it, sir?
Not easy. Not easy, of course. See, you have to, you have the broad framework. And what you asked is very relevant. And it's, why I'm not able to answer, that I have the same difficulty. I know if I ask somebody, I might find a solution. But then there is a fear, what if he says no? The inability to accept a rejection. And who gets rejected? It is the ego that gets hurt, isn't it? And therefore, sometimes if you're making a request or it's a project involving a lot of people, then you should not feel hurt. So, I'm doing it for a certain cause. Even if it's an insult I'm going to take. So you will see it all boils down to the ego. More the ego, more the hurt and upset. Less the ego, then your hurt and upset becomes less. So somewhere we have to be able to be insult proof. I know it is not easy, but if you have to achieve great things in life, you have to be able to swallow your ego and work on that. And this is what I would say. There's a nice story that I would like to tell you from the life of Muhammad. He was a very simple person. And it is said when the Quran was revealed to him, he was surprised because he was not a person of letters. He goes to his wife and says, either I've gone mad or I've become a poet, because beautiful poetry was being revealed to him in stages. It is said that when you become a nobody, you become no ego, you become a passage for the Lord to be able to express. There is a similar story. I'll answer your question once again. Just sit down.
Thank you, sir.
It's a story from the life of Sri Krishna. Krishna had many wives, but I want the name of one wife of Sri Krishna. Radha is his childhood friend, not his wife. Rukmini. Rukmini, Krishna's wife, had one major problem. And that problem was, you're not spending enough time with me. Krishna, you're not spending enough time with me. You're spending more time with that flute of yours. And the question was, what is there in that flute that I do not have? And Krishna says, the flute is so empty. Whenever you are empty, it is said higher forces will flow through you. That is why ego is said to be edging God out. So the more ego, there is no space for the divine. And somewhere it is more easy to say, but I would like to say how you can be insult-proof, work on the ego, be ready to face rejection. Is there a corollary to your question? Is there anything else to your question? No, thank you.
Hello, sir. My name is Shashank. I have a question for you, sir. While going for surgery, when you face any complication, okay, thank you. While doing a surgery, do you face any complication, and did you make any second decision while doing a surgery? Due to some complication, did you make any second decision?
All the time. See, complications is an important thing in neurosurgery. Now, whenever we go for a surgical procedure, give me a moment. We know that we are dealing especially with the brain, where there is a high risk of complications. Not only complications, some of them so serious complications which can be even fatal. So before we take up for surgery, we explain to the family all these complications can happen. Now, family members will trust you and go. But then, when you have operated a large number of patients, you will have so many patients who have had complications and so many people who have even died because of your surgical procedure. And there are moments sometimes you feel, when something like this has happened, you feel really upset. You feel terrible. And these are real difficult moments. In these moments, you have to be very honest, explain to the family. And many people are able to accept, many people are not able to accept. In our life, we have two extremes. Because we deal with life and death situations, once people come into the hospital, once they trust you, then it is not an ordinary doctor-patient relationship. It's a relationship of reverence. People treat you with that level of reverence. And sometimes patients, when they come to your room also, I insist you don't take their footwear out and come. They have that sense of reverence when they come. At the same time, if something goes wrong, then family members, even though you have explained to them, they are very upset. And when they are very upset, sometimes in front of so many people, I've been listening to all kinds of abuses. And when people are very angry, they will say whatever that comes to their head. At that moment, my learning is never to go to defend yourself. If you defend, the person gets even more upset. Just listen. Sometimes today we have all the social media, and because of social media, people can be very cruel to you. They will put up all sorts of things online. So this is the hardship of the kind of life that we face. In a large number of patients, patients treat you very well. But when things go wrong, and complications can happen, we anticipate complications, we know, but still these things can happen, and they are extremely difficult. Big training in neurosurgery is to anticipate and deal with complications. but complications can still happen.
Good afternoon, Doctor. My name is Ramesh Rajgopalan, and the question what I wanted to ask you is, you were talking about forgive. You may not be able to forget, but you have to forgive. But take a situation where someone has had a personal loss in life, okay? Now, I don't know about forgive, but then how do you come out of that personal loss? Because that is something which keeps haunting you right through your existence maybe.
How to handle personal loss.
Yeah.
Especially the loss of a loved one.
Yeah, so because I am asking this question, I will extend that. Because I lost my father when I was just 11 years old, okay, and he was just 43. And even today, after 47 years, somewhere at the back of my mind, I keep thinking about it. I'm not able to kind of accept that fact. Because I know that he is gone, he's not going to come back, but then I'm not able to accept that fact. Yeah.
Whenever someone dies, someone whom you love, someone who's been a part of your life seems to come to an end. Life becomes very meaningless. This can be one of the most difficult situations a person has to face. To some extent, it could be separation. Sometimes you've been in a relationship with somebody and the person suddenly decides to leave you and go. There is an intense, hollow emptiness that comes into your mind. And these are very difficult moments. And from his experience, you will say, I always say one thing, and it is true to a large extent, that time is the healer. With the passage of time, initially it is very intense. Later on, you're able to speak about it. You're not so emotional. And with certain passage of time, time becomes a healer. But then sometimes you don't get over it. What do we do? Now, remember one thing. Now, I can't address him who's going through the difficulty, but I can address all of you who don't have that difficulty, because that is not affecting your mind right now. Remember one thing. All those people whom you love, including this body of yours, has come with an expiry date. Whenever you swallow a medicine, you look, what is the expiry date? This is true. Every person in our life is there only for the time being. And therefore, why do we miss somebody? We miss somebody when he or she was there in your life. I have taken him, I'm not referring to your case, I'm referring to when he or she was there in your life. Perhaps I have taken that person for granted. I did not do all that I could have done when he or she is there. And therefore, this is the problem. Through our life, what happens, we get so involved in our lives, we miss the beauty of the love of our parents when they are alive. To be able to tell them, Papa, Mama, I love you, I care for you. Suddenly your parents will wake up because they are not used to this reciprocation of affection by you. And thank God for most of you, your parents are still there. Make a phone call after this talk, call them, send them a message, directly or indirectly express love to them. And you will see the surprise you get. When people are there, if you are able to live a relationship a relationship of love, caring, sharing, and it's like a child which has played with a toy and you played with it, it's become old and it's gone. You don't feel that so bad. But if you have missed that person when he or she was there and they have gone suddenly, then that pain becomes more. I told you there are 2 gifts I have given you. Thank you for the gift of my parents and all the gift of my life. The second is the greater gift, to be able to say yes. I do not know what is going to happen, not tomorrow, what is going to happen today. When I leave my bed in the morning, I'm not sure if I'm going to come back alive today. See, you're all young, but when we have well crossed more than 60, we know we are on the other side of life. And when I have one good friend, you know who's my good friend? I have interactions with him all the time. Whenever I go to the ICU, even today, when you see a patient who's struggling to breathe, whose ICU parameters are all like that, I know I have to speak to the family members because all the Yamadutas have come there. And honestly, my real friend is Yamadharmaraja, the god of death. Over the years, I have made friends with him. Now, for me, at my workplace, I see him all the time. Not in a physical presence, but I know when I have to meet the family members, I have to speak about death and the dying. See, when it is death and the dying for somebody, it's different when that question he says so pertinent when it comes to you and your own family. So this training, every day, there is one prayer. There is one beautiful prayer. Many of you who do Surya Namaskara may have known that Hiranmayena Patrena. When you do yoga and a traditional teacher, they will tell you to say that Hiranmayena Patrena Satyasya Hi Pita Mukam Tattvam Pushan Satya Dharmaya Drishta. If you continue the prayer prepares you. Every morning you are born, every evening you die. You are born, you die. You are born, you die. Can you take a deep breath now? You have inspired. Take a deep breath out. You have expired. If you live life moment to moment, every moment you inspire, every moment you also expire. How many times you are born, how many times we have died? Get used to it. I'm telling all of you, not to those who have gone through the pain of a recent death of a loved one. It takes time. There is no other way. You just have to give some time and to come to terms with it. But then I've told you whatever I know. Okay, the last question. I do not know how much time. I'm there.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Varshita V. Sir, how do you measure or assess the personal mastery? And, personal mastery. Personal mastery. What are the indicators suggest that someone who's in the right path?
When you are by yourself, there are moments when you are by yourself. And if you're in a home with a lot of people, if you're in a room by yourself or in your bathroom by yourself, how do you feel about yourself? Ask yourself, each one of you at this moment, am I at peace with myself at this moment? If I am at peace with myself at this moment, that is why that second thing, yes. If I accept this moment as it is, if I accept my body as it is, if I accept my job or my status as it is, my problem is I'm not able to accept. I want to change. I want something else, and I'm not able to accept it. So first level is to be able to accept things as it is, that I am at peace with myself at this moment. In fact, the pinnacle is, if at this moment you feel there is nothing to do, there is nowhere to go, I'm at home. This is a great. But then, as a student, as a professional, there are so many things to do. How do you do them? Do them sincerely, but not seriously. Take everything that you have to do like a game. In a game, you play with a lot of intensity. And one more parameter I've already given you is the FIR. That is, at the end of the day, ask yourself how frequently I got upset, how intense was it. Now, the moment you know you are upset, your level of intensity comes down, and then your recovery also becomes faster. At every moment, ask yourself, am I at peace with myself? If the answer is yes, good. If the answer is no, then I need to work myself with peace. I'll do one short exercise. All right? Just be with yourself. Please sit down. And this is called a time-wasting exercise. All right? All of us value time so much, but I will give you an exercise called time waster. Sit in a comfortable position. Keep your back upright. Keep your feet flat on the ground. Keep your arms clasped with one another, resting on your thighs. Close your eyes, not too tight, not too loose. And with your eyes closed, become aware of all the sounds that you might hear. Become aware of the thoughts that are going on in your mind. Become aware of the silence outside, the absence of thoughts in my mind. One powerful method to reduce the thoughts and to be internally silent is to become aware of your breathing. Take a deep breath in. Hold your breath for as long as you can. Slowly breathe out. Hold your breath. Once again, take a deep breath in. Hold your breath for as long as you can. Slowly breathe out. Continue this breath process for another 5 cycles. Breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. Body is so deeply relaxed. I will count numbers from 1 to 5. With each count, your body becomes more and more relaxed. 1, 2, you are still more relaxed. 3, your whole body is so deeply relaxed. 4, 5. Experience this moment of deep relaxation. Gently move your fingers. Consciously and wakefully open your eyes. When you consciously become aware of your body and you remain in silence for some time, it is not a waste of time. This is the best use of time. Make this exercise twice a day, sometime in the morning and sometime in the evening. Consciously waste time, do nothing. Experience nowness. I have dissolved all your questions.
Thank you, sir.
As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Sukanya C., a student from the Department MBA. Deem it a great honor and privilege to propose vote of thanks. I, on behalf of the entire fraternity of PES University, extend my most sincere gratitude and appreciation to our esteemed guest speaker, Mr. Thimappa Hedge, for being with us and sharing insights on unlocking personal mastery through neuroscience. Thank you, sir. I would also like to thank Professor Ajoy and his spouse, Mamta Shankar, for taking the time out of the schedule and to be with us today. I would also like to thank our Honorable Dean, Dr. Shailashri Haridas, the MBA Program Director, Professor Shankar Gopal, the teaching and non-teaching staff, the IT team, and the core CXO team for their support and effort in making this a memorable event. Now I would like to request everyone to stand for the national anthem.
Jai